Good morning, Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay. Shall I
Can we
share
start?
the screen?
Sir, 1 minute, sir. Can we start the session, sir?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Once again, I heartily
Shall I?
welcome. Once again, I heartily welcome all the participants and Dr. Rahul Subhash Karle, sir, for the second session of fourth day of AICTE ISTE sponsored 1 week refresher program. Now, I request Mr. Basuraj, sir, to give a brief introduction about the speaker.
Good morning, one and all present here. So I am Basuraj HS, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Jyoti Institute of Technology, Bangalore. It is my pleasure to introduce the session speaker, Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale is Professor and Head, so Department of Civil Engineering, TSSM's Biwarbhai Sawant College of Engineering and Research, NARHE, Maharashtra. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale obtained his bachelor degree in civil engineering in the year 1999 from Walchand Institute of Technology, Solapur, Maharashtra. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale obtained his ME in civil environmental engineering in the year 2001 from Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli, Maharashtra. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale obtained his Doctor of Philosophy in the year 2015 from National Institute of Technology, Surathkal, Karnataka. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale has 17 years of teaching experience. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale was the peer reviewer for reputed journals like Springer, Elsevier, etc. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale was also peer reviewer of the virtual conference on disaster risk reduction, civil engineering for a disaster resilient society at NITK Surathkal. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale received the patent for the work titled Waste Management for Ayurveda and Urban Hospitals using IoT. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale is certified as Primary Evaluator for Exceptional Contribution in Tokyothon 2021. Tokyothon 2021 is an inter-ministerial initiative organized by Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell with support from All India Council for Technical Education, Ministry of Women and Child Development, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Ministry of MSME, Ministry of Textiles and Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale has published 17 research papers in reputed journals. Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale is also attended many workshops, seminars and contributed as expert. With this brief introduction, I would like to welcome Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale to the today's session on emerging contaminants in water bodies and their treatments, the ISTE AICT sponsored 1 week induction cum refresher program. Welcome to you, sir. And I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Rahul Subhash Karale. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for this sweet introduction. First of all, let me apologize for being lately joined. Currently, due to some emergency work, I have to travel nearby Pune, and so now I am on nearby in a crowded place. So please excuse me. Please let me know if there is any disturbance, if you are not able to hear me properly, so that I can repeat certain things. Otherwise, if I continue speaking, I will not able to know how much of the audience is able to listen to me. I hope my voice is clear now. There is slight disturbance near my side, which I cannot control. So please excuse me for that. Am I? Hello.
Sir, you are audible, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
So please let me know if there is any disturbance so that I will shift my place somewhere. Okay. So a very happy new year to one and all. The topic which I have selected is about emergent contaminants. Now these contaminants are in a large portion, and in the surface water bodies, in the groundwater bodies, these contaminants have been detected, and therefore we have to discuss certain things, and we need to apply the basics of treatment. Currently there are many conventional treatment technologies, many package treatment technologies, many advanced treatment technologies implemented world over. But still, we find that when it comes to the drinking water, then the health issue arises. And everybody is more concerned about the health issues. We are currently going with such issues related to this COVID-19 pandemic, and these new mutated viruses are coming. But as far as these water bodies are concerned, the spread of disease through water bodies, the contaminants in the water bodies, as a responsible citizen, it's each and everybody's duty to know certain things, try to see that where we are currently, at what level we have achieved in dealing with the contaminants. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello. Okay. Because sorry, there is some disturbance near my side. Now let's start with the slides. Now this is how I have decided the path. Some basic things which I would like to introduce to you. Then the environmental significance related to these emergent contaminants. A case study where we have carried out certain research work, some experimentation. A part of it I will share with you, how far we have experimented dealing with these contaminants and what results we have achieved, that also I will share with you. And then finally concluding remarks. Further, I have shown some path also beyond the concluding remarks, because that is not the end, which I think still the research must move on, and still we are, or we must try further to achieve more and more fine polishing level of treatment. Now I hope you can see this slide clearly. Can anyone read it? Anyone from the participant side, what you can read? Hello?
And a glass of ice water, you need a prescription for that. Trucks in tap water.
Yes, thank you. So this is a picture in a small restaurant where the lady is asking for a prescription, and that too for an order of a glass of water. Now this is something very shocking, and it is related to a latest news. On the other side, a person reading the newspaper, and they have shown that the drugs in a tap water. Now the tap water means the drinking water, and the drugs means various medicines have being detected in the drinking water. The lady is well aware of that, and she is worried about that. order that it may contain certain medicines for which the person who is consuming the water is not correct. Dear friends, if you are not able to achieve complete treatment level with whatever contaminants being introduced in the water bodies, the days are not far where we can experience health issues arising due to these emerging contaminants in the water bodies. Now, what are these emerging contaminants? Are these some new contaminants which earlier nobody was not knowing about it, or what is this? Of course, these are chemicals which have been detected in the global drinking water supplies at trace levels. Now, currently, the research is progressing and they are able to detect it at trace levels. It may be at nanograms per liter, but even at trace level concentration, these contaminants will be responsible for various health issues. Now, what are these contaminants? These are the pharmaceuticals, personal care products, some pesticides, herbicides, and endocrine disrupting compounds, and a variety of it. So it is a big class, a variety of compounds, thousands of compounds, which in day-to-day life people are dealing with it. We are consuming, we are using it. It may be related to the domestic purpose, it may be related to some agricultural purpose, or maybe some related to some manufacturing purposes. And this is how it's getting introduced into the environment. So these are the micropollutants coming from variety of sources. Some are synthetic, some are natural, and they are also known as the contaminants of emerging concern or chemicals of emerging concern. I use an image here of the earth, and you can see here a bottle which is discharging these pharmaceuticals, these contaminants. So it's not a local problem, it's covering the entire globe. So in a broader sense, emerging contaminants can be classified in three ways. So first, not necessarily a new compound. So when I say emerging contaminant, it's not necessary that a emerging contaminant is always a new compound. Okay, it may be an old compound also, which we were not knowing about it. Secondly, a compound that has long existed in the environment, but whose presence has only recently been detected. Means there is a emerging contaminant which we were not knowing about it, but was present in the environment since several years. And now, due to advancement in technologies, advancement in this instrumentation, we are able to detect its presence. So that may be a emerging contaminant, or it may be a long known compound whose negative environment realized. We may be knowing about the compound, but we were not knowing its impact on the environment. We are now realize that yes, this is also one of the compound which is also creating damage to the environment. Dear friends, there are thousands and lakhs of these chemical compounds which we human beings have not yet properly explore. As we say that advancements are going on, but is an advancement, it depends upon the degree of detection. At what level? See, as a human being, example of normal eyesight, normal human being. So it can visualize certain things at not able to visualize glasses. If not further, then that yes, there is some problem to our vision. Rectify. Same thing is happening. Our detection degree. We as human being, are we completely what you can say satisfied, or are we completely say that we are advanced enough to detect hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you see the slide?
No, sir.
Slide is not visible.
It's not visible, sir.
Okay.
Sir, share it once again, sir. Give the share screen option once again, sir.
Okay.
Now
Can you
your
see the
screen.
slide?
Yes, sir. Now it is visible, sir.
Okay. Sorry, there is some network issue also. Okay, so what I was saying that the advancement in technologies which we are dealing with must continued further till we realize most of the compounds, chemicals which have already created damage to the environment. The more advancement in technologies, the more familiar we will be with dealing with the potential negative impacts of these contaminants in the environment. So you can see I have written here what are PPCPs. So I will restrict my today's discussion related to one category called as PPCPs. Actually, there are many categories of these emergent contaminants. Now we'll focus on these PPCPs. So PPCPs are nothing but the pharmaceuticals and the personal care products together. And why they are in the environment, why people are using it, because these serve to improve the quality of the daily life. You cannot avoid these PPCPs. You cannot avoid these PPCPs. We have to deal with these PPCPs because one or the other things we are dependent on these PPCPs. But on the same side, these PPCPs are creating a negative impact on the environment. These are being used to produce various ingredients in the cosmetics, various food supplements, even the cosmetics related, which are now the cosmetic industry is blooming. So there are a variety of experimentation being done with this, and many transformation is taking place related to the compounds, and there are more chances that in the near future they will get introduced into it. uh, Hello, my voice clear? Please let me know,
Yes, sir. It is clear, sir.
because I doubt, because the place where I am sitting here there is some disturbance to me. So will you give me some 5 minutes so that I can shift my place to
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
because
Yes,
I
sir.
don't because there is some disturbance here. So I will
Yes.
change my place here. Just give me 5 more minutes.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Hello.
Sir, your screen is not yet shared, sir.
Okay, just
Now it is visible, sir. Disconnect. Sir, your voice is not clear, sir.
is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. Okay. So these PPCPs, pharmaceuticals and personal care products, they are continuously being used, and because of this continuous usage, we cannot avoid their pathway, we cannot avoid their presence into the getting into the environment, mainly through various sources. It can be through a partially treated sewage, it can be through the flood overload events, or a regular domestic, or a direct untreated sewage getting mixed with that. So the thing is that we cannot avoid this. We cannot avoid the medicines, pharmaceuticals. They are a part. They are curing various diseases. So what we can avoid? First and foremost thing, we have to check the concentration. There must be a routine program to monitor these contaminants in the as far as drinking water is concerned. And a dose which is prescribed by a medical practitioner to a patient after consumption of the medicines, there is every possibility that through excretion mainly urine and feces. The part of the drug appears in the environment, or the parent compound, the parent drug may not be fully metabolized in the human body, and its metabolized or transformation products which may be the environment. Even the expired may find their way into the environment. The landfill sites are more prone, which may contain more of these PPCPs. So we cannot think by conventional ways. We should not think only about the domestic waste or the domestic whatever impurities which are there and the conventional ways which are there. We need to orient in that way, considering the health impacts due to these pharmaceuticals. There is a evidence through literature. Many research workers have proved that over the counter drugs OTC, mostly they are never consumed for any number of reasons, and these are disposed down the toilets or the domestic refuse, and these drugs into the environment, it depends upon two main important factors. One is the dosage frequency, how frequently the medicines are being dosed, and the excretion efficiency. Suppose there is a patient who is prescribed the medicines by a medical practitioner, and of course the main challenge here is to improve the health of the patient. But as far the metabolism of the human body is concerned, we never know about the excretion efficiency of that patient, and ultimately the metabolites products of the parent drug may find their way into the environment through the urine and feces. So this is a overall scenario. N number of sources to the industrial compounds, the drugs consumed by the people, the veterinary clinic where the animal part is also there which consumes the drugs. Okay, so all these together combined are the sources which are now being known and have been identified as the potential sources of these emerging contaminants. Even you can see here the cosmetics, like the shampoo bottles, the household cleaners which are being used will find their way ultimately to the sewage treatment plants. So the sewage characteristics, the quality of the sewage is getting deteriorated due to the presence of these emerging contaminants. So you can see this slide. It is about the balancing system. On one side, you have the pharmaceutical pollution, the load. The other side, you have the environment. And we human beings need to maintain the balance. We cannot avoid the consumption of these pharmaceutical drugs because they are for our well-being. On the other side, we cannot overlook the negative impacts of these drugs on the environment. So somewhere we have to keep in mind that the balance is getting lost. Can we have certain ways, methods, whatever it may be, where we can keep all these things in a proper balance? The human species is still struggling to maintain that balance. Now, coming more close to it, now henceforth I will focus my talk on a class of these on these pyridines. Now, why pyridines? There are many other drugs. Also. We have carried out certain. I would like to share our research related to that. Before that, let us see about the picture about how this pyridine production has or is been responsible for creating more pollution. With the Asian market, especially India, the pyridine growth is more. So the population more in India, and pyridine compound is used in the production of most of the pharmaceutical chemicals. Even some pyridine compounds are also used for agricultural chemicals also. That's why I've selected this research related work on these pyridines. The demand for this pyridine is also increasing, and further it is expected that considering the population growth, even the more demand of pyridine will be there, and ultimately as the demand for pyridine increases, naturally the manufacturing processes, the industrial growth, the raw materials required for it, ultimately considering the economy, because as a whole, as the economy of a country is which will be dealing with manufacturing of such pyridine type compounds, and this will certainly cause an increase in the pyridine production capacity of India. And therefore this pyridine will be utilized more and more for producing several pharmaceuticals. And ultimately, you know, whatever from the previous talk, that once the consumption starts, on the other hand, some percentage of pyridine will ultimately be detected in the sewage water bodies. These are some of the news related to this pharmaceuticals. So India has become one of the world's leading exporter of pharmaceuticals. And pyridine compounds are getting more and more attention in Indian environment. Now let us see about just what is the effect ultimately, because we have to see the balance. We have seen we cannot avoid that, or we cannot totally ban the consumption, because it is on the one side it is really helpful, it is really been useful for various purposes. But as far as environment is concerned, what are the effects? Can we have control on this? There are certain threats. Some of these pyridine compounds may introduce antibiotic resistant pathogens. They may be responsible for these antibiotic resistant pathogens. Because if a particular compound is getting discharged in the water bodies for a longer period of time, it will happen that whatever the microorganisms which are there in the water bodies will mutate themselves, and will develop a resistance to the antibiotics, and that is very difficult in that case. Not only the human beings, but even the animal species are affected because of this pollution of pharmaceutical products, particularly the fish. So I hope you can see this slide. Just have a look at it. Something strange image. Can you see? Dear friends?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So particularly the fish species. Why fish are concerned? Because they are more sensitive to the change in the water environment. And leave the funny part of it, asking about whether it is a boy or a girl, and the doctor is saying thanks to the chemicals in the water bodies. And leave the funny part, literature research has proved that because of these emerging contaminants in the bodies, there has been feminization. That is, the male fish is getting characteristics. That is what the impact is taking, and this is very dangerous. And the research has proved. You can see in the literature, you will get many and the aquatic species, the water bodies are too much affected. So as a whole, not only the human beings, which are getting affected because of these emergent contaminants. It has long back started with the aquatic species, or I will say that these are the first species where you can detect that yes, this compound has emerged. But unfortunately, we have not succeeded in finding out such compounds at the root level. We only come to know when a compound has affected the human species. Unfortunate, that is the unfortunate thing. But if this continues, then in the near future, the pollutional load will be very difficult. The future pollutants will not be the same pollutants which we are able to, or what we can say. Currently, we say that our regular biological treatment processes or any chemical treatment processes, we have advanced technologies and we're able to completely remove a majority of the pollutional load. But that is the beginning. Our treatment technologies should be in such a way that they should be able to produce a water quality which will have or which will not create any impact not only on the human species but also on the aquatic species. Certain references here. A Swedish research team, they have visited a place called Patancheru in Andhra Pradesh, and here when the water samples were tested with water treatment plant, when the samples were tested for the pharmaceuticals, it was shocking to see that whatever concentration at which the pharmaceuticals were found out, it was 150 times the highest levels those detected in the US. So this is something shocking which the Swedish team has revealed. And based on that, they quoted that Indian water bodies are more polluted with pharmaceutical pollution as compared to the other countries in the world. So world's highest pharmaceutical pollution is measured in India. This is what the team has revealed. So it's very shocking that a foreign team is visiting Indian places and they are discovering such facts which we people should be more worried about, at where we are, at what level our research is progressing, because ultimately that is going to affect our health. In another study, from treated wastewater, raw wastewater. So a common effluent treatment plant where more than 90 Indian drug factories were connected. So the samples were taken from that treated wastewater of a CETP, and it showed that literally they have used the word that it is a floating medicine soup. They have called it as the treated wastewater is nothing but a medicine soup which contains 21 different active pharmaceutical ingredients. Most of these ingredients were used in generics for treatment of hypertension, heart disease, chronic depression, ulcers, and many other ailments. Okay, so it doesn't mean that we need to ban these pharmaceuticals. It means that we are not able to achieve the treatment level, the desired treatment level. Even we say that yes, water is treated, and if the treated wastewater sample is showing pharmaceutical ingredients in it, then it is of more concern. These things I have discussed. This is something, another thing which I can share with you. Even they have carried out some research in the laboratories, wherein they have exposed the human cells to these pharmaceutical compounds in trace concentrations. So shocking news is that the human cells were not able to grow when they were exposed to these pharmaceutical concentrations called the drugs. They failed to grow normally. That is what their observation, their study has revealed. That is one side. On the other side, they are also generating this resistance to these antibiotics. So when such drugs were exposed to the human sewage, it was found out that the microorganisms, the pathogens, the bacteria have developed resistance. On one side, some microorganisms have succeeded through biological treatment technologies, but when the treatment was continued, the microorganisms were not able to degrade the contaminants later on because of this antibiotic resistance. In another study, tadpoles exposed to the water from the treatment plant. Now this water, that is a treated water from the treatment plant, the wastewater we are talking. So the treated wastewater, it was 500 times. 500 times it was diluted, and that diluted treated wastewater was exposed to the tadpoles, and it was seen that the growth, it retarded the growth of the tadpoles by only 40% smaller. The retardation was a bigger. So even a dilution, certain studies say yes, in some we can say that yes, by dilution of the water we can control the BOD, we can control the COD, but we are talking about these immersion contaminants, where after dilution up to 5, the impact is not diluted. There are two things. 500 times doesn't mean that we have diluted the impact to not even 100 times fold. So this is a shocking news. Most important thing here, the more bacteria is exposed to a drug, the more likely that the bacteria will mutate in a way. So this mutation is also taking place to the microorganisms because of these emerging parameters. And that is also Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Please let me know if there is any disturbance from my side.
Okay, sir.
Now, this is a slide which is showing two compounds of pyridine we have studied. One is 2-bromopyridine and another is 2-chloropyridine. Looks very simple in structure, not much complex, but the impact is more. The impact on the environment is more. And these two pyridine compounds are used worldwide for manufacturing of variety of pharmaceuticals. In addition to these two pyridine compounds, there are other compounds like the aminopyridines and the cyanopyridines. Even we have studied about those compounds also. So I will share the results with you. This is just the basic property about these compounds, which I will skip. So in this slide, it is about, is your water toxic? Now, intentionally, I have put this slide in between because before going further, I want to ask a question that when we are dealing with the treatment of a wastewater, it may be a domestic wastewater or an industrial wastewater. After the treatment, the wastewater, the treated water is compared, the considering the parameters are compared with the permissible it may be checked out, or it may be on species. Whether our treatment is towards the toxicity, not the human beings, but also to the aquatic life, the other animal. The question. As far as these two compounds are effects and skin irritation, you have the two bromopyridine, you have the chlorine. So variety of drugs, antiretroviral, antihistamine drugs, anti-arrhythmic drugs, anti-malarial drugs, even the other drugs like fungicides, herbicides, personal care products, many. So these cover the entire family of the PPCPs, that is the pharmaceutical and personal products. And most of the pharmaceuticals you will find these derived from the pyridine compounds. So you have the two bromopyridine in the water bodies, you have the two chloropyridine in the water bodies. So coming to the treatment part now. When you talk about the treatment of a wastewater, we always start from the basic things, the preliminary treatment, the primary treatment, where the suspended solids are removed, then the secondary treatment by biological treatment processes, and the tertiary and advanced treatment if required for the removal of certain excess nutrients or pathogens. It may be chemical, it may be photochemical or biological. So what you can see, is there any need of certain alternative treatment on one side balance have a big load? Earlier decades, people were knowing only about certain general pollutants. And then the conventional treatments were used to deal with the general pollutants. But what about the increase in the pollutant load? Personal care works has increased the load. Chemical again increasing the load. Pharmaceuticals are coming up, increasing the load. So this has disturbed the balance. So we need to think that whether our conventional treatment technologies are so we have to go for certain alternative treatment. And now we need to monitor the treatment as far as the removal of the contaminants, emergent contaminants is concerned, up to the level to which they are leading disturbance to the one species as well as the species. So treatment, degree of treatment should not be only focused with health effects associated with human beings. The degree of treatment should be focused with considering the entire species in the environment. Few examples, literature in raw bodies and since these contaminants are now being detected at a concentration which is no longer a trace concentration. You say a trace concentration means concentration may be in nanograms, but it is are being getting detected in milligrams per liter. There are many other compounds on the class of pyridine which have been detected. These are called the pyridine derivatives. They have been detected in the range from 20 to 300 milligrams per, and therefore the treatment technology have been Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I was talking about the BOD COD. So the BOD COD ratio is less than 0.2, which clearly states that biological treatment is not feasible directly. If a biological treatment is to be adopted, then there has to be a pre-treatment option before the biological treatment. I mean to say that directly if biological treatment is used, it will fail. It will not give results to these emerging contaminants. It will remove the other biodegradable contaminants, but it will not remove these emerging contaminants. And most of the sewage treatment plants, they employ the biological treatment. So now totally banning or totally avoiding the biological treatment is a difficult option. We can go for a pre-treatment option by use of certain advanced chemical treatment technologies to improve the biodegradability. The chemical treatment will improve the biodegradability, and then we can go for a biological treatment. How much time I have? Hello? So that accordingly I can proceed further.
Sir, you can take another 5 minutes, sir. Later we have a discussion session.
Okay. So we have tried certain advanced oxidation technique. Now advanced oxidation techniques are entire class where there may be is phenton, photocatalysis, ozonation, and many more. So I will not now take your time in discussing each and everything here. We have tried this phenton process, photophenton process related to this pyridine, and I will just share the results with you. Certain experimentation where the pH was found. Now here the mixture was used of the halopyridine compound. These are the halopyridine compounds, bromopyridine, chloropyridine, because in reality the water body is a pool of chemicals or a mixture of chemicals. So we cannot just target a compound and study that compound and then say that yes, our treatment is successful. We have to try to achieve a condition as real as possible. So since these two compounds of pyridine are mostly being detected in the water bodies, mixture was used and studies were conducted on this mixture of the compounds. The optimum pH was found out. Now since phenton process, you must be aware that it uses phosphorus and the hydrogen peroxide. Now here we have used the laterite ion because laterite soil which contained the laterite ion, locally available soil. So just to optimize, because Indian conditions, that cost optimization is also one of the important parameter which is considered in the research. So to optimize it, the locally available soil, laterite soil, iron was extracted from that lateritic soil, and then a regular our hydrogen peroxide, the dose combinations was done, and based on that the optimization of this iron and hydrogen peroxide was carried out. So at different concentration, we achieved the different uh, optimized doses of this iron and hydrogen peroxide and different removal efficiencies of the drug as well as the COD removal. Also the degradation time was also studied. So it was observed that it takes most of the degradation, it takes place in 2 hours, and after 2 hours there is a very slow degradation. So that is a challenging thing, because once the compound is in a mixture state, then it is creating more resistance to the treatment technologies. And then regular uh, scanning was done throughout the wavelength from 200 to 400 nanometer. UV visible profile scans was done before and after treatment to check the degree of treatment. So pyridine, chlorobromopyridine scans were also taken to check peak. The peak justifies the compound, and you can see here after treatment there was no peak, indicating that yes, the compound is totally degraded. HPLC, high performance liquid chromatography, was also being used here. So it gives the retention time to a particular drug, and based on that degree of treatment, again the treated samples were analyzed using SPLC. But here small peaks were identified, which may be some other intermediate compounds, but the parent compound was totally eliminated. Even the reaction time was also reduced by improving the degree of treatment, wherein here 6 compounds were tried at a time, and the reaction time may be almost less than 2 hours, to find that each compound degrades in its own way depending upon the resistance. Even also dose combination was also done. The stepwise was also done to improve. And when you compare the top and the bottom charts, you will see that most of the almost by 2.5, that is around 150 minutes, can see that almost all the 6 compounds are totally degraded. Okay, so finally concluding remarks were framed out regarding the degradation. So just I will summarize. Now here there are two things. One is about the drug, another is about the COD. So as far as the drugs are concerned, we can achieve some more degradation of the drugs, but it is very difficult to achieve the reduction in the CODs. So therefore, uh, always experimenting and optimizing the dose combination is very necessary, or even the stepwise dose addition of H2O is also very necessary. But as far as possible in our study, we were able to achieve that using this Phenton, and even some photophenton experimentation we are also studying. So this is all from my side. Thank you all for a patient listening, and sorry from my side, there was some disturbance, and wishing you all a very happy and safe new year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Really, it was a very informative session. Sir, we have received few questions from the online participants. We will take one by one, sir.
Okay.
Sir, the first question is, what are the standards water quality items and limits of industrial effluent for direct discharge into water bodies in the US and European Union?
Okay, regarding these pharmaceuticals. Now, regarding actually, whenever the effluent discharge standards arises, they talk about mainly the degree of mineralization, and hardly they have given standards related to the pharmaceuticals, because thousands of pharmaceuticals are detected in the water bodies in trace concentrations. And whenever it comes to the effluent standards, uh, they talk about the CO permissible limit of the COD, which is less than 250. And there arises the confusion, because when you talk about the COD, and if the COD is less than 250, then the wastewater is allowed to discharge. But there may be a compound because of which the COD may be less, but its toxicity may be more. So there lies the more catch here. So you cannot rely on a particular compound, or you cannot say that yes, this concentration should be limited to this before it's discharged. You need to check about the toxicity also. And till date, all these pharmaceuticals are not grouped under these standards, because we are yet to explore its toxicity. That's why I said that it's not only about the human species, it's about the aquatic species also, and we are now realizing their impact on the environment. So more about the mineralization, the COD and the TOC, it has to be properly dealt with the toxicity. I hope I am able to get that point.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the next question is, can we carry out radioactive tracing to determine spatial distribution of pharmaceutical waste concentration in water?
Yeah, it is possible. Na? Here in our study, we have focused on this regular HPLC technique. There are many techniques, but we need to compare one with the another one, because see, detection by the conventional techniques is one thing, and therefore once we detect it, there is a mass spectroscopy copy technique also, wherein we can compare with that concentrations, and we have to see that whatever technique which we use, whether it is really identifying that compound. There are certain things which we don't know. As I was shown here in the HPLC scan, there are certain peaks which we don't know that what compound it is. But I know that there is certain compound. A compound after degradation, or after when it comes to the environment, there may be some exchange, there may be some reaction, and it may give birth to some another metabolite, and we never know what type of it is. So once we need to upgrade our list of compounds also. So we are not able to achieve that level where we can confirmly say that it is this compound. We are able to see that yes, there is certain compound, there may be certain compound which we need to remove it. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for answering all our queries. As water is a basic need for all living organisms, hope all our participants got benefited from your thoughts about the various emerging contaminants which are responsible for polluting water and their treatment methods. Sir, once again, on behalf of AICTE, ISTE and Department of Civil Engineering, Jyoti Institute of Technology, we are very much thankful to you, sir, for accepting our invitation even in your busy schedule. We expect same kind of support and association with our institute for conducting more and more technical programs in the future also, sir. We will try to conduct these type of technical programs in the offline mode also in the future, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
There is an announcement for all the participants. Next session will start exactly at 2 p.m. The speaker is Dr. Manoj Kumar M. He is going to deliver a lecture on the topic how IoT is revolutionizing the construction industry. I once again thank all the participants and Dr. Rahul Karale sir for all the supports provided in this particular session. Thank you one and all.
Thank you. Thank you.